Pit maneuvers are considered deadly force. While Arkansas State Police are turning to these more often, records we obtained show training isn't happening at the same pace. We told you about pit maneuvers in several recent Working for You investigations. Our coverage of a pregnant woman's lawsuit after a trooper pitted her car, causing it to flip, made international headlines. Tonight, our Susan Elcory takes a closer look at what happens before a trooper is licensed to use this kind of force.
In my head, I was gonna lose the baby.
Intentionally hitting and spinning out drivers.
I was just trying to get...
Okay, well, you hold it. Are you serious? Get out the wind, get out the car.
Arkansas State Police troopers use this deadly force, called a pit maneuver, to end high-speed chases. So common, last year we found they happened once every 3 days.
Okay, well, this is what happens when people don't stop for us.
We searched hundreds of police records and found over 4 years troopers attempted or used pit maneuvers at least 306 times. Almost half of those were last year. Turns out training isn't as frequent. State Police use Stuttgart Municipal Airport as a test track for both recruits and yearly training. Police won't tell us how many hours are spent on pits and don't want to talk to us about those sessions. For weeks, we called ASP.
I had some questions about pit maneuvers.
Again and again.
Can we observe training?
But each time didn't get far.
So the answer is no comment for today?
Eventually, a spokesman emailed this explanation, saying, while there is a pending lawsuit relating to the use of pit, Arkansas State Police personnel cannot, at this time, accommodate your request for an interview. So we asked for all training material from the past 4 years and got back slideshows for recruits. Each year include this slide, calling pits a safer way to terminate pursuits. That is until this year, when the slide was removed. The presentation goes on to list 7 things to consider, including severity of crime. Of the at least 306 cases we uncovered, almost half started as minor traffic violations, ranging from speeding to improper lane change. That was the case here in July 2020, when Senior Corporal Rodney Dunn tried to pull over this driver for speeding. Within 2 minutes, he used a pit maneuver, which caused the SUV to crash into a concrete median and flip.
Are you the only one in the vehicle?
Yes!
Okay.
We introduced you to Nicole Harper last month. She's the driver who's now suing state police.
Why didn't you stop?
Because I didn't feel like it was safe.
Well, this is where you ended up.
Her suit points to the dash camera video showing she tried to find a safe place to stop on a highway with a reduced shoulder and miles from the next exit.
We call it a pit maneuver when people flee from us or don't stop from us. That's what happened.
Harper isn't alone. A similar stop happened days before.
I'm attempting to stop on Highway 1.
On a late June night, Trooper Tommy Fitzgerald clocked a car speeding.
Arkansas 540.
His dash camera rolled as the driver slowed below the speed limit.
About 44, trying to stop.
He followed for 1.5 miles, then used a pit maneuver.
Just pitted him, he's in the ditch.
The driver had just turned 18.
I got him at gunpoint. Show me your hands. Walk to the front of your car.
She was alone, headed to her grandparents' house.
Why didn't you stop? You know I have my blue lights on.
I was told that I should get to a public space.
Okay,
I just wanted to get into
I can
town.
The
understand.
blue lights started flashing behind her here on Highway 1 outside Harrisburg. It's surrounded by farms with no street lights in sight.
I was just waiting to get to a public spot in case you weren't actually a police officer. I have the right to get to a public place.
Well, you have the right to stop, too.
Back in the classroom, recruits are taught there's no limit on speeds, and a reasonable safe speed is determined by the officer. That doesn't line up with this suggested practices we found from the Arkansas Association of Chiefs of Police, and ASP is a member. It recommends capping pit speeds at 45 miles per hour unless deadly force would be justified. Records we searched showed state police are going much faster, with most pits happening above 60 miles per hour and some topping 100.
How fast were you when you pitted him, roughly?
About 120.
Okay. It is what it is. We can't dictate that.
In this case, 22-year-old Brian Brooks was killed after the pit sent his car airborne into a tree. Brooks is one of at least 5 people killed during pits in the last 4 years. While troopers are taught to consider the risk against the reward, Harper doesn't believe that happened in her case.
I felt like I was doing what was safe.
Questioning if this was preventable.
I was trying to keep us both safe, and I felt like he didn't care at all.
Bottom line, a lot of discretion is up to the trooper. We looked at more than 300 pits in the past 4 years and found at least 76 hospitalizations. Of those, almost all were drivers or passengers in the fleeing car. 4 were troopers, and 1 was a driver who was accidentally hit during the chase. Back to you.
Susan, thank you.